This came in the mail today from Rusty Treasures out of Thorhild, Alberta. We'll just cut her open and see. He did a pretty good job of packing it up. What I believe it is Magneto. It's for a 1530 McCormick Deering, 1925 model. He says that it's all together, but the impulse doesn't work. So we're going to have to send it away, get it worked on. Maybe I can work on it myself. I'm not sure on that regard. Maybe I should send it out to oh yeah, it does turn quite easy. And maybe you have to send it out to Kenny Kizzle. He repairs a lot of Magnetos. I can see just on the things seem to work on it, like the Advance. It looks like it's going to need some work. It's for a 4-cylinder engine. Yeah, all the plug wires have been unceremoniously removed. That's all that's left is the copper eyelet. There's the cable. Kind of anxious to try this out. I'm not too sure on it at all, like how it's going to operate. I don't even know exactly what model this is. We have some numbers. It's upside down. It looks like either an 86062 or a 36062 with looks like some sort of a, almost looks like an A there. In this area here has 43. Here we are. This is made in USA, Splitdorf Electrical, Newark, New Jersey. And in the diamond here it says Areo, registered in US, made under one or more patents. A bunch of information on the patents and stuff, but as far as I know, this is a Splitdorf Magneto. Little oiling hole up here, but that is working. So it's a Splitdorf, and I will have to Google that. I might even get in contact. Oh, there's seems to be a broken piece here. I don't know if it's Oh, it does move. Might be more complicated than what I was anticipating, but these bolts are just regular mounting bolts, etc., so they're not a big deal. But a guy's got to, looks like somebody's had a fresh screwdriver on these holes. But I think tomorrow I'm going to, in the daylight, I'm going to just put a spark plug wire on there and a plug and turn this drive over like it. I don't know if it's actually supposed to have a I don't know if it's supposed to have a impulse, but there is definitely nothing happening there, but you do feel the magnetic pull there as you turn it over. Two per rotation, so it tells me that there might be it might be actually working. So I'm going to investigate a little bit further, and before I tear it down, I'm going to investigate, you know, get some input. I got a local guy here in Vernon that might be able to help me with this. But we will check it out in the morning, make sure that it's, maybe we can get some spark out of it. Well, living like a boss here, and we're working on this, what I've found out is a Splitdorf Areo Magneto, made for 4 cylinders gas engines. It's basically from 1925. I have it pretty much stripped down, and haven't really found too much wrong with anything except, well, we better open up this beer here. Got the Christmas pack for beer, 24 beer. So basically it's a little bit before Christmas, 24 days, but we're going to have one at a time basically. The only thing that I can find wrong with this mag, it's not the only thing, but it's this spring that I had it apart, and I pulled the spring out of here. There's 2 pieces. Actually, there's more than that in the Folgers can there. It's broken, it's deteriorated. The springs need to be replaced. I cleaned it up somewhat so it will go together and function like it's supposed to for the impulse, of which it does function, but it needs to have a new spring put in there. That's one problem. The other problem are these magnets, and I have them just stuck together in this here manner because watching Rudy on his channel, he rebuilds a lot of these old vintage mags, and this Splitdorf, it's in a split configuration. It's not a single horseshoe magnet, it's a split horseshoe. So he says when you have them out of the mag, have them in this orientation, stuck together just to hold their magnetism. I believe I have to send that away and have it zapped or re-strengthened, of which I've got an outfit in Vernon that I can send this to, and they should be able to give it the little bit of a treatment to re-strengthen it. Now, to put these, I have this all apart as far as I am going to take it. Up here is the coil and the condenser, and I believe it needs a new condenser maybe, of which the guy in Vernon, he should be able to put that on. A modern type condenser. This is pretty old school, this one. I think the coil is fine. When you roll this around, it does have a, like you can feel it catching the, well, when the magnets are in, you can feel it catching and making a lock on the 4 positions. Or 2 positions, I guess, times 2 is how this operates. It goes once around to fire the 2 cylinders, the second time around goes for the next, you know, and vice versa. So it does work in that regard. So I need that done. I need these springs replaced, and pretty much the rest of it I think is going to be fine. Condenser, magnets, and the impulse spring. So right now we'll just, these are pretty weak actually, like they, one goes around the armature, this shaft, the other one goes around, when I turn it around, it goes around the rotor there for the distributor end of this metal. So that goes in there, so there's 2 rotating parts, this one and this with the cam on. But you can see that it catches the magnetism and it'll rock back and forth. So it's that part is working, but I don't think it's as strong as what it should be. There's a set of points in here. The adjustment is through this here lock screw and this set screw, and I have it set just by feel. It's way more than 20 thousandths, and that's usually what, according to Rudy, is what these would take, is a 20,000 gap. But it's not really functioning. I've tried to use a lead going from the copper or the brass part here and the hot part of the points, and when you turn it over you should get an arc. And I've tried to go fast, slow, but I don't get an arc. So maybe the points actually need to be cleaned, one thing, and set for gap, another thing, and magnets recharged. I don't have the recharging capabilities. I can set the points and maybe clean them, but I understand that these are not to be filed. Like you just clean them with a particular paper or whatever, a special material. You don't file them. So I don't want to go file them and remove unnecessary material. While we're on this end, this here is the rotor. Pretty easy thing, and it is actually pretty black there, but it's functioning. It has a little pin there, and you turn it around and it tucks itself in there. I never had the gear out, so it's going to be timed with the armature. This is functioning. It's the advance. It's a mechanical advance. So it's functioning. We can put the cap back on. And it's got 3 bolts. This is a short bolt, goes in this because there is an oiler behind here. Longer bolt will interfere with the oiler. And it has a taller screw head. These 2 on the side, longer, and they're through bolts. They go clean through the casting. So with those pieces on there, I didn't bother recording this as I took it apart because a lot of these pieces, took a little finesse. You had to, you know, tap them and work them and clean the, these are just flat screwdriver bolts, like they're just flatheads. And so got to clean all the garbage out and whatnot. So it takes quite a bit of a process just to take this stuff. This particular mag is probably, let's say it's a 1925 machine. So we're in 2023, so that's like 98 years old. It could be a little bit newer, like 10 or 15, maybe 20 years newer, but that'd be about it. So 80 years old, something like that. So there we have it. That's back together. We have this here cap that goes over the breaker assembly. Back in the day, they called them breakers. They didn't call them points. It was like it's basically a switch. Today, or more modernly, we call them the points, but it's a cam and breaker. And there should be a special kind of a nut that goes on there, which would be this one. And I'm just going to put this assembly together because I'm going to phone my guy down there in Vernon probably tomorrow and see if he'd be able to fine-tune this. At least I had it apart and worked all the rusty parts out of it. I'll leave it at that. This here side of the mag is together. There's a little oiler with a spring and everything, and I don't believe that it has any, there's no numbers or anything on it that I can see. I'm trying not to shine this light back toward the camera because I learned that on the introduction of this particular video. Don't do that. It just really wrecks the focusing up on your camera. Now there's some residual, it's just insulation. Let's get rid of that. Now this here, now we need to put this, slide this piece on first, not to bolt it down. Now we need to put this here piece on, in there, intact. We'll just dig out a couple of these small screws. Oh, we need one more washer. We need to put these two, oh, that's the wrong, no it isn't. It's just a distorted lock washer. We're just going to put these bolts in first because there's a plate we have to mount on. Now these, all of these bolts, none of them I've cleaned up the burrs or anything like that. I'm hoping that eventually I'll just get some new, maybe some brass ones or something that is necessary to run the mechanical impulse assembly. 80 years of sitting around in the barns and whatnot will do to all these parts. And birds and rodents climbing around. And if you're wondering, yes, it's my kitchen table that we're working on. And in the kitchen. And I'm not going to torque these up. Now there's that assembly. That plate is on there. Now we could probably, I just had that Woodruff key here. Here's the Woodruff key that goes on the shaft. That should work. Now I believe that this will slide on there. Not or anything, it doesn't have a, not even a washer in there. When I took it off anyway, it did not have a washer. It's just got a slot across it. For what, I don't know, but there is the slot there. And we're just going to spin it on. It's on there tight enough because I am going to ship it away, and the professionals, they can work at it to see what they can do to fine tune it. And you can see in this area here, that's the advance. It just slides the whole assembly back and forth inside the magnets. Now I think maybe I didn't mention, but most mags have the horseshoe going this way, and the Splitdorf has it going that way. Now, I'm not really sure how that works, because the rotary assembly goes around and around in the middle, in between the north and south pole. I guess it doesn't really matter if it's north and south pole this side or on these sides. It's going to do its magic. All right, so we got this on. Now these here fine little pieces, they were rusted solid. And I know certain people, I watch enough videos on the YouTube, and there's some people have their things. I'm included, I have my thing. Some people don't believe in any penetrating oil at all, like, you know, if it's going to break, it's going to break, blah, 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 whatever. And other ones will use, and they got a special brand and they use that, and they got their concoction for breaking pistons free and all that kind of stuff on stock engines. Myself, I use a combination of everything. Primarily, if you want to break it free and be successful, you basically got to have primarily patience. But the main ingredient that I've been using is boiling water on rusted pins and linkages, etc., etc. I use boiling water myself. And I've used penetrating oil, and I've got something here, if I can find it. Yeah, something like this. Honey goo, eats rust. That's what they say. That's what it says on the can. I don't know if it does. and we'll just go with it does. We're going to get this assembly put together. It should have a little oil put to it, of which I don't really have much right here, but I do have a little bit, I guess. What I got is a little 3-in-1 or sewing machine oil. And it'll do the trick just to keep things lubricated temporarily. So you got those pieces ready. This thing takes a little spring, like in a clicker of a pen, and a little bit of a washer. On the inside, this split pin is not good. But we're just going to put it in there. You'll need a new one, but I don't have a new fine pin of that sort. But for now, we're just going to get that in there. Now again, these two bolts that I'm putting in and this mechanism here was totally locked up. It was locked up in the open position. There we go. It was locked, rusted solid. Nothing would move. So I did put the penetrating oil to it, just let it soak for a day or whatever it was. And that still didn't break it free. So what I ended up doing, see this here works fine now. It's an interesting thing about this, it's a mechanical impulse. When you go to, it's a crank start, it's not an electric start. So when you go to crank it, you flip that on, and when you roll it around, there's these, at 180 degree intervals, these two dogs, and it'll go in there, that pawl drops in, and will catch it. But there is a, as you turn it, of which this is probably not going to turn very easy. There's something going on there that it's not going to, there is a ramp that it should walk around, click it, so this thing with the spring inside will flip around really quick to help energize the coil and make things function properly. But again, there's the spring is wrong in there. It's not, nothing is proper in there. It's been broken for so long and rusted. Now, if you were to pull the tractor in gear and stuff and try to start it just by pulling it, this would spin fast enough, it would fire up. But even if you had an electric starter, it might fire up. But a crank, you have to crank it and just bring it over that one cylinder. It's a pretty slow operation, and it will catch it and it'll do its thing. And when it does start, it just throws this up in that position. It stays up there. When you go to start it again, you put it down again. So that's how that there mechanical apparatus works. Now this here particular piece is just the coupler. There's a drive off the front of the motor that drives this here mag. That's the coupler. Okay, now we got a couple of side panels, and again I haven't brushed them up or anything, and I don't plan on doing it at this point. You see there's some witness marks here. There's been some wear and banging around. There's a story in there, and I just hate to remove any and all stories. I don't know why, but that's just my thing on it. I like, you never know, you might come up to a guy that has the story on it. But when these are polished up, they're nice and brassy or copper, like a penny. If you polish a penny, they will shine. Now, okay, that's the 4 base ones in. I know the light that I'm using here is certainly not the best. I'm still working at what I need and what I should get and whatnot. And I'm afraid flashlights and Mickey Mouse outfits aren't going to be enough for lighting. So I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and get something proper. And the final, this is a pretty fancy pretty fancy way to hold things together. They got it's basically a threaded rod, transverses the whole distance, but it's got 2 of these heads. You can undo one head or the other. It's kind of a unique way to sandwich it all together, but that's the way Splitdorf did it. Makes them unique. But there we are. We got it back together. It still doesn't work that I know of. Maybe if I put a drill on there and spun it over fast enough, maybe it would make a current off the and send a spark through these wires here, but it's way beyond my talents to make it completely operational. At least if I know, now that I've had it apart, I know when I give it to the guy, there's nothing wrong with the basic makeup of the mag. It just needs some unique parts. Hopefully we can find them. Primarily magnetize the magnets. A condenser, of which I seen on the YouTube video, Rudy, he put a new condenser, soldered a new condenser to take the place of the old style one. Did that, cleaned the points up, the points and everything. Everything looks really good, the rotor, everything. So it looks really good. The only thing that's wrong with this is somehow or another, there's an arm on here to run the advance. But they had one on the other side too that would, you know, so you run it from both sides. It's broken off, and this is the only point of hooking on to, you know, changing your advance retard positioning. I think it'll still work without it. It's fine. If I could get a new piece, I would put it on. But I'm not gonna bother trying to hunt down a piece like that. But anyway, I didn't video the thing coming apart because it was just so time consuming, and oiling and rust, boiling water, screwdriver, cleaning out screw heads and tapping and being very careful. You know, you gotta be very careful with this old stuff. Patience is the key. Anyway, that's a wrap. This belongs to my upcoming project, which is the Galion. I still haven't recovered the machine, but it has a McCormick Deering 1530 engine on it with no mag, and I got this one off the internet. This is the one that goes to the 1530. That drive and whatnot, and I was told that it's totally all together. It's all there except for the impulse does not work, and I can see why. Here's some more evidence. These springs are all broken and whatnot, rotted, just time, busted. So we need to get it fixed up. That's all for now.